Hi there, I'm David, and I want to talk a little bit about tripods today. Now, tripods are one of my favorite tools in photography. I use them extensively. I have for decades. I use one maybe not every day, but certainly every week, and for some of my work, some of my projects, they are truly indispensable. Now, as much as I love tripods, though, I know not everybody does. And, when you're starting out in photography, it can be hard to know, well, do I need a tripod? Which one do I get? There's too many options. These things are expensive. I'd like to start with some general thoughts about tripods and why you would want to use one, and some of the variables involved. And like for my work, the main reason that I use a tripod is because a lot of the personal work that I do involves night photography. And yeah, you can shoot with a fast lens at a high ISO and hand hold it that way. And I do that too. But for certain projects, there are shots where I need to keep the camera very steady for 20, 30 seconds, maybe even several minutes. And there's just no way to do that realistically without a tripod. Also, if I'm doing studio work like product photography, having the camera in a set position is just going to make your life easier for a lot of that kind of work. And one thing I've noticed is that people often kind of get too wrapped up in some of the particulars of choosing a tripod. Everybody wants carbon fiber, but guess what? Aluminum tripods were always good. They're still good. You also don't have to buy things brand new. I think of my 8 or 9 tripods that I have, I think only 2 of them were purchased new. The rest of them were bought secondhand, and there's nothing wrong with that. You can get a lot more value for your money that way. But one thing that you want to make sure that you're doing is to pick a tripod that is suited to the gear that you're using, what you're putting on it, and that is suited to the task at hand. Now, for example, this is a 400 series Gitzo aluminum tripod with a geared center column. This thing is heavy. I do not take this on location, but in the studio, this thing is great. I love it. That weight becomes an asset, not a liability, because it helps keep everything even more steady. Heck, sometimes I will take this, and once I've got it locked down in position, I will add sandbags on the legs to make sure that it absolutely does not move. Great tripod for a particular application. Now, compare that to this. This is a very compact, lightweight carbon fiber tripod. This is the one that I take with me when I need to be able to throw it in my backpack, especially if maybe I'm going to be using a tripod for sure. Maybe I don't know. So something like this folds up very compact. This fits in my backpack or my messenger bag. I ride my bicycle into Tokyo. I can throw this in there and it doesn't weigh very much. Now, the downside of something like this is that, the small leg sections, that's pretty thin, right? And it's just not going to have the same weight capacity or the same level of stability as a bigger, heavier tripod. But again, we want to match our choice of tripod with the task at hand, what we're going to be doing with it. And that includes what we're putting on top of it. With this compact tripod, something like a DSLR, mirrorless camera, something like that, that is a good match for this. So this is my old Canon 5D Mark II with a 90mm tilt shift lens. This is going to be sturdy enough for stuff on location most of the time, right? If I had anything much bigger than this, I would not want to use this tripod. I would choose something with a bit more sturdiness to it. So this is basically a pretty decent match. This, however, is not a good match. This is too top heavy. It's going to be too prone to vibration, especially if I have a larger lens on this. Like for my night photography projects, I will often use this RZ67 with a 75mm shift lens on here, which is massive. And that it's just a bad choice. It's a bad match. Now this giant Gitzo, this is a fantastic match for this, but again, I don't take this on location because I go to location by walking or on the train or on my bicycle. I have not taken this on my bicycle. And another thing to consider is what kind of head you're going to be using with your tripod, right? And so again, so something like this is a ball head. This is very easy to position freely. It's very quick. Point it where you want it, lock it down, you're done, right? The problem is if you are doing something like the kind of work that I do, and I need my camera position to be very precise, including making sure that it's level. I can get this level one direction. Okay, that's level side to side. Now I want to make sure it's level the other way. And let's get that about there. This, being a ball head, you don't have the ability to control it one axis at a time. So, I leveled it this way, then I leveled it that way, and now this is out of level slightly again, because it's really hard to make a fine adjustment in one axis and not lose that when you're adjusting it on a different axis. And so that's a problem with this kind of thing. Okay, let's get this thing set up. So this is a three-way head or a pan tilt head. You have individual control of each axis. You can rotate it this way, okay? You can tilt it this way, right? Or you can level it this way. And so the advantage with this is now I can level this on this axis. I can get this level in this axis. Now it is level in the ways that I care about now. So that is an advantage of a three-way head. The thing that bugs me about three-way heads, and this varies from head to head, is that they tend to often be a little bit grabby, a little bit hard to position precisely, especially with heavier equipment on top, because, as you saw me do, I'm tapping it here to make fine adjustments, and that basically works. But sometimes you're just trying to get it where you want it, and it's hard to get it exactly in the right place. But in terms of precisely positioning your camera, a three-way head is much easier to control in terms of exact positioning, because you get to do it axis by axis. My favorite kind of head, though, is a geared head. And I'll show you that next. Hey, buddy. This is my cat. His name is Tora, and he's really cute and very annoying sometimes. Hey, buddy. Hi. Okay, so this is a geared head. This is a Manfrotto 410. This is a pretty common geared head. I've got an adapter on this one to replace the original quick release with an Arca Swiss type quick release on top here. And the nice thing about a geared head is, just like the three-way head, you have control over each axis individually. With this one, you can make large movements and then lock it down, and then make fine movement by turning the knob. And this goes for each of the axes. So this is a really nice way. And I like this because when I'm getting set up for like an architectural shot, again, I can very precisely make sure that everything is just as I want it. And I don't have to worry about the adjustment of one axis messing up what I've already leveled out on the other axis. And so this is important because, like when you're shooting architecture, you want to keep your verticals vertical, which is why you want to make sure that your sensor remains vertical and square to the subject. So that's why I like geared heads the most, because they allow me to get a more precise and reliable positioning of the camera. However, I don't especially like this geared head, at least not anymore. I've been using it a long time, and there's too much play in the head. And honestly, I have found this to be the case with most Manfrotto geared heads. There tends to be a little bit of slop in there. That doesn't mean you can't use it, because this is a very static kind of photography. You're not moving the camera around a lot, so once it's settled, it's probably not going to move anyway. So is that realistically a problem? That little bit of slop in the movements? Probably not, but it just it annoys me. And so the last thing I want to show you today is what I have arrived at as a practical solution that allows me to position things more quickly, like with a ball head, but also with the precise positioning of a geared head. Yet a different tripod. I really do love these things. I really do have like 7 or 8 of them. Although, to be fair, I do provide these to workshop participants when I teach night photography workshops. So it's not just for me. Okay, and I would not normally use this with the column extended like this because that reduces stability. But for the sake of showing you what I'm talking about, it's just faster this way. And so what we have here is a Slik SBH-500 ball head. And on top of it, this is a Leofoto, I think it's a G2, which is just this kind of standalone geared stage. The thing that I like about this ball head for this application specifically is that unlike other ball heads that have like a tension control, this is practically just on and off. So you loosen it, it moves freely, you can position it very quickly, and then when you turn the knob, it just locks down and it's very sturdy. And like with the other head, it's got an Arca Swiss type quick release clamp on the top there. And so in the field, again, when I'm out taking pictures, working on these projects, what I'll do is first just get it roughed in, you know, get it pointed basically where I want it. And I'm not going to worry too much about how precisely leveled it is at this point. That's just the quick initial main positioning. And then again, I'll go in. Using these knobs here, I can level it, and the adjustment on this is much easier to manipulate than on the Manfrotto head. It is finer movement, and there is very, very little slop, very little play in the movement of the geared stages here. So like this knob here, this is going to do your positioning this way, and it's the same on the other axis here. And so then I'll, again, just adjust this, and then we're good to go. And it's got a panning stage on top, so I can, once it's leveled, I can fine-tune my composition without it going out of level. And that's a really important thing. So you get it leveled, you get that locked in, and then you can pan a little bit and you're not going to lose your level. And I really, really like this setup because it combines the speed of a ball head, because I can do it like this, and it lets me then make fine adjustments very simply, very easily. It's very smooth. This is not a common ball head, I think, especially not outside of Japan. Honestly, I don't really like it for other applications, but combined with the geared stage, it really works for me. So when I'm on location in Tokyo doing these night shots and everything, this is usually what I've been working with for the last year or so. It's great. I don't really have any complaints about it. At least for now, this is the tripod head setup that I am most satisfied with right now. And this right now, it's on an old Gitzo carbon fiber tripod back from when they were pretty new. And actually, one last thing, back to my point about buying things secondhand. This was an extremely expensive tripod when it came out. This would have been late 90s, early 2000s. I picked this up used for the equivalent of about $30 US. And if you hunt around, you can find deals like that all over the place. So use a tripod. Do it. It's great, especially for certain kinds of work. And whatever you're doing, just, if you can, borrow some equipment, see what you like in terms of tripod heads, different form factors and materials of tripods. That's it. Thanks for watching, and happy shooting.
Hi there. It's raining. There's a typhoon on. And it's not the super, blustery, strong wind kind of typhoon. It's just extremely wet. So naturally, I'm out for a walk.